Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a disassembly and maintenance video for you on this little guy right here. This is the Kansept Knives Convict. This particular model is a Damascus-style steel version, but there are many other models. My big question here, initially thinking about disassembly, is which side am I taking apart? I would probably just as soon do the show side here, but at the same time, it all depends on which way the pivot is done. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to start with the pivot. Well, actually, I could do from the. I'll try from this side. It is a free spinning pivot. Of course. All right, so let's go on ahead, put a second driver in here. And by the way, if you're curious about this second driver or any of the other tools I use on the channel, go ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools. I'm feeling like I'm having an easier time turning on this side, so I'm going to go on ahead and turn from this side. Wow. This is thread locked. I'm a little concerned that I'm not going to be able to get the back out. Holy cow, look at the amount of thread locker on there. All right, so aside from the fact that it was in 15 gallons of thread locker, so far so good. Let's go on ahead and try the back here. And I've got 4 different screws going into the back here, each of which is a T6. Okay, that's easy at least. These are not thread locked as difficultly, that's not a term. Intractably, there you go. Well, I guess that was tractable, but by God, they were trying. Anyways, I digress. Let's go on ahead and take the last of these guys apart. And that was not a great thing. Luckily, I didn't scratch up the surface of the titanium, but you always want to be careful and do better than I'm doing right now. It is relatively early here. I'm getting this disassembly film before I head into work. So, yeah. Alrighty, so what we see here is immediately... They've done a couple of things, well, they've done a number of things right with this guy. To start with, we have all the accoutrement that we might expect. We've got, you know, your lock bar insert, you've got your over-travel stop, you've got a ceramic detent ball. This is an important little detail. Wow, I am having a new day at the hand, it would feel. Anyways, we are going to clean this off, and in doing so, I will show you, I hope, that what they have done here is they have masked off the area here. They appear to have put some kind of a stick or another, and there appears to have been a little bit of bleeding, but this way the etching, bleeding through, that is, but this way the etching is not underneath where the ball bearings roll. That is a little detail, but it's one that very often with these kinds of pattern welded steels can make a big difference, right? Because if you have the ball bearings rolling all over these various little pattern weld areas, that's not really ideal. And so, you know, it's a little thing, but it's a little thing that shows that they're giving a damn, right? And that's nice. Let's go on ahead and pop the pivot out here. Sure wish the pivot wasn't free spinning. I've been on a spate of free spinning pivots lately in my life. That's not a thing that most people get spates of, but here I am. I guess I'm just spateful about it. But anyways, yeah. So, but I like seeing that. At this price point, you kind of expect to, but I do like seeing that. This is one of the rare occasions in which I have actually carried the knife pretty, you know, reasonably, and prepared my review before actually filming this disassembly. It's just the way that my life worked out. I didn't have a lot of time to sit down and film a disassembly, but I did have some time to carry, and so I just kind of jumped ahead in the process. So my goal here is to basically take what I learned from this disassembly here and immediately add that into my review, which I will be filming in, like, well, however long this takes, right? So, you know, yeah, it's a little thing, but it's a little different than I normally do. So I have a lot more knowledge of the knife and its price and that kind of stuff than I usually do at this point in the process. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do now, I have cleaned, actually, one thing I do want to do, I think I might have cleaned the pivot, but I want to hit the top of it a little bit more. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little piece of cloth here. I'm going to take this watch spring bar tool. And I'm just going to kind of dip the fabric down in there a little bit and just rotate it. The goal here is just to get a little bit more of that thread lock and gunk out of the process. Because that's definitely, that was a little strong. That was a little much. Luckily, it's this kind of white stuff that they tend to use tends to be a little bit kinder in that it doesn't, like, it slowly breaks free rather than being completely unbreakable, like the red stuff, but still, they overdid it a little bit. Now I'm just cleaning off the pivot screw, removing the rest of that, and we will take it from there. Alrighty. So, let's go on ahead and, looks like they shortened this screw just like on a belt sander. Whatever, it works. So, let's go ahead and put this guy back together. I'm going to use some 10-weight nan oil here, and I'm going to go ahead and drop some in there. That's the technical term, of course, to drop some in. Then I will drop. People, see, the problem is I haven't really had I don't have enough caffeine in me at this point in time, right? The LBH aren't supercharged yet, so I'm not ready. But, you know, hey, it works out. Let's drop this in here. I do what I can, when I can, how I can. If I can, let's be real. All right, so I'm going to drop the stop pin on the other side here. The reason I transferred this over is not because you necessarily need to, but it'll make my life a little bit easier as I drop on the blade and get everything aligned in this way. One thing that I forgot to do there is actually to lubricate the detent ball path. So I'm just going to drop a little bit of that on there. Problem solved, case closed. And while I'm at it, go ahead and put a little bit there and there. What I'm seeing is a little bit of my my cloth. There is a small burr on the backside of this, on the backside of the lock face, which would indicate, and you know, rightfully and understandably, that they grind that separately. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I've got a Spyderco Golden Stone right here. I'm just going to kind of knock that burr down a little bit. There we go. Got it. That is not actually important. I don't think that would affect the action in any measurable way. But at the same time, if I notice a sharp edge on something that I don't need to have a sharp edge on, it is my general tendency to just knock it down a little bit. Make sure that there's no trouble. But all right. Honestly, that's one of the nice things about being in the pocket knife world is that one has a selection of abrasives at hand. You know, most people will have a little bit of sandpaper, etc. But, you know, I am not without tools to hog off metal, right? It is perfectly plausible for me to, you know, well, I got like diamond stones and stuff like that. So a lot of the things that go on in daily life that require some kind of abrasion, I've got tools for. And most people are just like, how the heck would I do that? You know, rubbing it against the freaking, you know, a nail file, which will do the trick. But yeah. Anyways, it's a subtle thing, but I can't tell you how many times I've purchased some product in the rest of my life. Like, you know, I'm trying to think of an example, like a hanging shower caddy. It has like a nasty burr on it, and it's just like, okay, grab a stone for the KME and knock it down, right? Problem solved. My wife's always like, dude, hey, you got a bonus there. Got to make the hobby worthwhile to the spouse somehow or another, right? Anyways, I digress. So, the construction-wise, this is honestly very straightforward. It's a concept. It feels like their stuff does, and it's not a demerit. They've been doing really nice work. Kansept has kind of slotted themselves in, I feel like, in the, you know, mid-high end. Kind of the Chinese knife-making equivalent of the upper middle class, right? Remember when that was a thing? Sorry, I digress. Because they're not quite up to the levels of like Rayot, or in some of the higher-end stuff, even but they are doing very nice work, and they're above a lot of the other competitors, right? They've far surpassed like Kaiser. I would say they're past best tech. They're taking a lot of effort. They're doing some care, and maybe they're going to end up going higher end, or maybe they're going to stick around in this sort of vicinity, right? But I kind of love to see it, right? Ooh, it's actually nice, very smooth. Centering's a little off though. That's probably because I tightened these back screws before I tightened the pivot, and so I locked a little bit of tension in there. So all I'm doing is very roughly loosening those. Oh, yeah. Now we are roughly in place. And I will tighten these guys up again. And there we go. But yeah, it's nice to know that, all some of their designs are a little less, shall we say, filtered than I might like. I feel like they could do a little bit more editing on occasion. But at the same time, yeah, it is nice to see that, whatever they do end up making is made well. No matter what the piece itself ends up looking like, ultimately because of design factors. But anyways, there you go. One other thing that I'm just going to kind of highlight here, because it's, I'll talk about it in the review too, but a lot of folks are going to look at this and go, oh my God, that looks like Damascus, but then you can't see the pattern. Is that fake? Turns out, actually, that if you look very, very closely, and I don't know that you're even going to be able to see it at this level of magnification. Like, I legit got out a jeweler's loupe to look at this. And actually, can I do that here? Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Now you see the layers. And because the grind is very thin and gradual, you see all of the various layers, kind of a bacon Damascus style thing. But in practice, you don't really see it on the edges. But in fact, that pattern, the striations are present and continuous throughout the whole thing. So, not that I would think they were doing fake laser on Damascus, and this doesn't look or feel like that anyways. But, just to kind of put people's minds at ease, so to speak. That was one of those things of like, that's strange. Anyways, that's your Kansept Convict, and hope this has been interesting. And I'm going to go film a review now. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.